So today we're doing some breathing exercises, and I always think it's really helpful to start with what would you call it, like a baseline, because there's no point in doing breathing exercises or vocal exercises or singing stretches or anything else unless there's an effect. And so if we can't find an effect from what we're doing, why do it? It's just a waste of time. So I would always do this when I was in college for voice. I would try singing first, and then I'd experiment with, like, what if I just do stretches and then I sing? Can I tell a difference? What if I just do breathing and then sing again? Can I tell a difference from the before and after? What about vocal exercises? And also, like, guided visualizations, things like that. It's like, which things have an effect, because I'm not interested in wasting my time doing things that are not going to make an improvement. Why bother? So we're going to start by testing Amy's range.
Okay.
And this is perfect because you've had like the one voice session. So really you're just purely a beginner. So we'll start with
super flat.
well, sharp.
Whatever it is.
Couldn't quite get down to it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a really low note for a female voice to hit. So, and we can't count that last one. You didn't really achieve pitch, but that's fine. That was a very respectable pitch for a bottom note for a female singer. You know.
Thanks.
I think today is 7/13/24. So now we'll do that same simple exercise again, but this time will be ascending with each repetition. There we go. Here, try it. Yeah, not quite. So try this one.
That's terrible.
Well, that's really high. Sometimes the pitches up there are so hit so quickly, it's hard to even tell which one which you count or not. So okay, so we've got your range from E3 to B6, E flat 3 to B flat 6.
Okay.
And then I would like to have you sing a song that is really familiar to you and that's simple, something like Happy Birthday or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Sure. What do you think? Is there a song like that you feel really comfortable with?
Twinkle Twinkle's fine.
Okay, so just come over here and get real close to the camera so we can really hear Oh. Spit out your gum, I guess.
I'm so sorry.
I know. A good voice teacher always has rules about no gum in lessons, but sometimes I chew gum in lessons. Okay, so you could just sing in the key of C. It's kind of typically where people sing Twinkle, Twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
So, as you're singing, what sensations do you notice here in your larynx?
Kind of vibrations and a little bit of scratch. I don't know. It doesn't feel super warmed up right now.
A little bit of scratch. Can you
Yeah.
point to where you feel the scratch or describe?
I don't know, just kind of not super scratchy, just a little tingle, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel the scratch like in the middle? Like if you kind of had your head cut off and you looked down
Right.
into your neck, would you say the scratching's like in the middle?
Right here, yeah.
Mhm. And so you feel vibrations,
Yes,
tingling,
yes,
scratching,
a little bit.
and any other physical sensations?
Not like, I wouldn't say like shortness of breath, but just not ease. Because I'm not, again, I'm not warmed up and I'm not like after I did my exercises the other day, my warm-ups and stuff, then I felt like way more at ease. But then I did them for quite some time because I was like, oh, this is really helpful. And then at the end I felt like, ow, what did I do? You know, so then I was like, maybe I overdid it. I'm not there, but I'm not warmed up. Again, I'm just
So,
like
like,
an early
Shortness of breath isn't quite the right word.
No, just kind of not
Labored breathing
Oh.
probably isn't quite the right word. Maybe shallow breathing.
shallow. Yeah,
or,
just not
like difficulty
Ease.
with like a lack of ease with
Mhm.
breathing.
Yeah.
I don't know one concise word.
Yeah, I wish I didn't.
We could say lack of ease
Yeah.
with the inhale and with the duration of the exhale.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So lack of ease with inhalation and duration of exhale. And then what about your tone quality?
UGH.
Aww.
That's the word. Yeah.
So ugh,
Yeah.
but that's not really very descriptive. Like, what do you not like about the way your voice sounds? So you could use adjectives like thin,
Okay.
tight,
I would say
brittle,
thin and also wobbly.
thin, wobbly. Anything else?
Yeah, just not tight. I don't know. I guess then it's that.
Not tight.
Not tight. Like it's just not like on point. Like it's just wanting to be kind of all over the page.
So maybe diffused rather than focused.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
These are all really good observations, and I would agree with all of these things that you're describing. Like, that's what I'm hearing on the outside. So it's interesting to hear what you're hearing on the inside. So this is what we have so far for Amy. Range, and then on this side of the column we have the physical sensations and the tone quality that you are experiencing now, right now. So now we're going to try a few things, and then we'll double check at the end if any of my helpful ideas are helpful. Maybe step a little closer to the camera,
Okay.
and I'll like angle myself behind you, like come this way. There we go. So you
Okay.
can see both of us.
Okay.
So, or maybe we should put this further so we can be farther away, because that way we can see. We kind of need to see our full bodies,
Okay.
so we can see our stomachs. Okay, yeah. So, when we inhale, we want to release our abdominal wall, which will look, see, like here's my abdomen, my belly button is right here. So if I put my hand right above my belly button, I can release my abdominal wall like this. So see how your chest went up?
Uh-huh.
Instead of this,
Okay.
we want a release here.
Okay. So here's my belly button.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
There.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, for the inhale, you could, I'm going to come really close because it might be hard to hear. You could inhale with a constricted trachea and vocal tract like this.
Yeah.
A lot of obstruction for the air, which is creating a lot of turbulence, which creates sound.
That's what I'm feeling. Okay, yeah.
And so could you inhale that way? The sensation for me, the physical sensation is pretty unpleasant.
Yeah.
Like it feels a little scratchy,
Yes.
squeezy, like
Agreed.
not pleasant.
Yeah.
At all.
Agreed.
Oh. I've got blue eyeshadow on my hand. Anyways, so that would be the way we want to avoid inhaling.
Right.
So we want to open our throat as much as we can, as if a voice teacher one time told me as if a fly could fly down your throat. So you really open.
Okay.
So you have either a silent or a low pitched inhale, as opposed to a high pitched inhale. You can even see my neck. It's constricting on the outside.
Yeah.
So if we open, we can hear. The pitch is much lower if you can hear the air moving. A silent inhale would be even better.
Wow. Okay.
And you can see my stomach moves, but my hand doesn't. As opposed to
Wow.
where the chest and shoulders move up and down. We just need the tummy. So see how your chest is still moving?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling.
So there's a way of practicing this, which, on the flyer it said we do a little bit of Alexander technique work.
Yes.
I'm not a trained Alexander technique instructor. I did take private lessons for 2 years with someone who is, though. So I can't really teach full-on Alexander technique, but I can give a few tips. So this is a book exercise. Let's see, why don't you could lie here and I'll lie here, but not that way, so like your feet are towards the desk.
Okay.
So we put a book on the floor for the head to start. I think you can see us. And your feet are gonna be flat on the floor.
Okay.
Elbows on the floor, book on the tummy, book under the head.
Okay.
And first, you just take a little bit of time to scan your body, kind of similar to yoga, where you just are observing. And the floor is going to serve as a reference point for our body because the floor doesn't move, doesn't change, hopefully. So like right now, I notice here at like the top of my hips or the bottom of my back, I feel tightness against the floor. In my neck, I feel tightness.
Okay.
And I'd say in my shoulders, I feel tightness kind of on the top part. Those are the things that I'm noticing. Do you notice any things like that about yourself?
Yes, definitely. The hips are, I would say, angular. I don't know, just like definitely flat on the floor. The upper hips are touching the floor the most, and the shoulders, shoulder blades. And then maybe like, my neck doesn't really feel tight, but
Oh, that's good.
it does feel elongated. I don't really know how else to.
Well, elongated is good.
Okay.
So now the second step is this principle in Alexander technique called inhibition, which inhibition is usually it carries a negative connotation, but in Alexander technique it's a good thing. It's just the idea of inhibiting any unnecessary work. Unnecessary work would be another kind of word for describing tension.
Okay.
So the second part after we observe our body is to try to inhibit any unnecessary work, or try to release your tension would maybe be a different way of describing
Okay.
what we're trying to do here. And so I will think of nodding my head farther forward, so like my chin is going to move more towards my chest. I'm going to let my shoulders kind of broaden against the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking of letting my back melt into the floor, letting my body spread out against the floor. I don't have to squeeze my knees so tightly together, so I'm going to let my knees go a little bit, which lets my hips widen against the floor as well. So you just can take a second to think about that and make any tiny movements with your body you need to let your spine really unwind into the floor. And then after doing that, we can rescan. I, wow, really notice a big difference today just from that tiny bit, which doesn't always happen, like every day is different.
Yeah.
But like right away, I was able to get rid of that tightness in my shoulders, my hip, and my neck. I still feel a little tightness in my hips, but definitely reduced. What about you?
Much better.
So now that we're kind of settled into this position, we can try to again do what we were doing when we were standing. We have this book on our tummy so we can really tell
Yes.
what's going on. And you can put a hand on your chest if you want to as well. So, and if you want to, you can turn your head and watch me. I'm going to try to inhale, so the book goes up when I inhale. Like that.
Yes.
So I'm opening my mouth into an ah vowel shape to let the air in. Oh, that was a great inhale. I could hear from over here how nice that sounded. Good. And then for the exhale, we'll just use a whispered ah, like that. So we're not going to try to do anything particularly special for the inhale other than opening to make room for the air, and then for the exhale, we'll just let the whispered ah last until the air runs out. Then your body will naturally pause and allow the air to spring back inside of you. So we'll repeat that cycle a few times. And then something we can add in, before we do, now do a quick rescan of the body. I notice I ever so slightly let my head hop back up, like my chin is up towards the ceiling more. So I'm going to tuck my chin back down.
Yes, when we turn to look at you, I feel like tightness in the shoulder for sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
I tighten my shoulders again as well, so I'm going to try and reset my body. And that's what inhibition is. It's noticing how when you try doing a task, sometimes you tighten up certain parts of your body which don't need to do anything to help with the task you're trying to complete.
Like, why?
So I was like, oh, don't do that. Just stay where you are, shoulders.
Yeah.
So now we'll just add in, as we do the whispered ah exhale, we'll gently turn our head from side to side like this.
Okay.
To be sure we have some nice freedom going on. So we can inhale again. Good. So how does that feel?
Relaxing.
Good, yeah. So now let's, while we're down here, actually, let's do a couple of windshield wipers with our knees together like this to help loosen up some of these muscles in our core.
That feels nice too.
Yes. definitely. I think stretching really helps with breathing. It's like you just have more freedom for your inhalation if your muscles are tensed. So you have muscles between your ribs, which are holding your lungs.
Yeah.
You have muscles in the abdominal wall around the diaphragm, which is also controlling your breathing. So we can just leave the books for a minute because we'll come back to the floor. But this little diagram is the next element I want to bring in. So we've talked about this direction when we inhale and exhale. We're going in and out. There's so many other directions to consider though.
Okay.
So this is a really great diagram that I love so much. This is the pelvic floor and this is the top of the rib cage. And here, like, this is where the diaphragm is right here. So you see that?
Okay.
Diaphragm, rib cage.
So the bottom was the pelvic floor.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when we inhale, we have our diaphragm here, and it's kind of a mushroom shape like this. And the diaphragm, as the air comes into the lungs, will descend. So it's shaped more like this. And then the diaphragm will ascend to push the air out of the lungs when we exhale.
Okay, gotcha.
Or when you sing,
Okay.
And so that is an involuntary process. You can't really control your diaphragm in the same way that you can control your arm, which is a voluntary muscle. But, you know, every time you breathe, this process is happening. Your lungs are empty, and then you fill, your diaphragm goes down, and then you exhale and your diaphragm goes up. We can control the muscles in the abdominal wall in a voluntary fashion, so that's the thing we're focusing on. And then the pelvic floor is moving in correlation with the diaphragm when you inhale, which is this crazy process to think about. So the pelvic floor is also going up and down, or hopefully it is when we're inhaling and exhaling. So the larynx, the primary function of the larynx is to let us breathe and swallow, because there are creatures who have a larynx who cannot sing. That's a happy byproduct. So this is what the vocal folds look like when they're apart, right here, like if you were looking down inside of your throat. See that? So when we inhale, the vocal folds are apart. When we swallow food or water, the vocal folds are apart. And when we exhale, the vocal folds are apart. All of those actions just have to come through an open pipe, our trachea, because the vocal folds sit on top of the trachea. But when we want to sing, the vocal folds come together like this. And we would actually need to be able to close the vocal folds even if we didn't want to phonate, which means to make sound, because the vocal folds together seal the airway. So that's why when we are trying to bear down to lift something heavy, we hold our breath and we create this tube with a seal at both ends full of air that gives us resistance so we can lift. Or if you're defecating, you do the same thing. If you like, you get that sound is the sound of the vocal folds being closed and air pushing against the vocal folds. When you're pushing, if you're delivering a child, that's the same thing. You close your vocal, you probably don't even realize you're doing it, but you close your vocal folds, which creates air pressure that you can push against.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I learned all of this, which has nothing to do with singing, but it is really a big part of singing because of having a baby. And it was like, whoa, this is really fascinating for my job.
Yeah.
So to think of releasing the pelvic floor when you're inhaling, you can think of that feeling of accidentally peeing, like, whoo, you're just like the feeling of release and looseness, like just letting the pelvic floor descend. So now you can think of that when you inhale. We want to keep this abdominal wall release in place, but we're going to add in the pelvic floor release too. So see if you can do that during an inhale.
I would think that we'd want to keep it tighter. Okay, so we want to release it.
We're gonna release for the inhale.
Okay.
So we release the tummy this way, we release the pelvic floor this way.
Okay.
Sometimes it's helpful to use some arm movements, so we can do that. We can put the arms like this,
Yeah.
and then we go.
Okay.
And so the physical sensations I experience would be, it is that feeling like, ooh, I could almost pee. And a feeling of a gentle, subtle descent. So that's what I feel. I don't know if you feel something similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's sort of like I envision I have a beach ball here because we need to allow opening in our minds in every direction. And so we've talked about this direction of the beach ball and this direction now. So let's try adding in the second half, which is the inhalation or the exhalation. So when we exhale, we're going to gently squeeze our abdominal wall gently to help the air out. So let's release and then contract to inhale and exhale. Using pursed lips because that can help really having the obstruction with the exit way can help really pace the airflow and help you feel what's going on.
Would you also tighten the pelvic wall?
Yeah, but
okay.
I was going to say just think of the
Okay, for
abdominal wall for
Okay.
now. So we're releasing both this way and this way to inhale and contract. And now let's add in the pelvic floor contraction for the exhale as well. So we release, and then we contract and contract. Here we go. The pelvic floor contraction will feel like how you feel if you need to pee really badly and you're like, ee! Squeeze, 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 so no pee gets out.
Yeah.
Like if you remember standing in line to go to the bathroom when you're a little kid and like you have to pee so bad and you have to wait. It's like that feeling of like, don't have an accident. So like, oh no, I might accidentally pee, and then don't let it happen. It's kind of like the sensations that I feel. So let's try again. We release. Are you able to feel both?
Yeah.
Good, good. Now the next part that I want to talk about for the inhale is the rib cage, which is the sides of the beach ball that I kind of envision in my mind. So you can feel the bottom of your ribs somewhere around here probably, right? I feel the bottom of mine right here.
Yeah.
You can put your hands on those lower ribs like this so you can feel them move. So when I inhale, I feel my ribs expand upward like an umbrella opening. So
Yeah.
try an inhale, just let those ribs ascend. Do you feel the expansion? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then when we exhale, now classical technique a lot of times will encourage people to keep their rib cage expanded the entire time they're singing. But I'm not going to teach that way, which is a little controversial. There's a lot of different opinions about this stuff. But I'm going to say we will let the lower ribs soften, and that's because of my time with Alexander Technique, and I think it's a better route to go
Yeah.
myself. But there are other teachers out there who would disagree, and you know, we all have our different opinions, you know?
Yeah. That's right.
So we let the rib cage expand, and then we let the lower ribs soften for the exhale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I almost feel like it has to because you're doing all the other, it's just
So the
kinda-
idea is sometimes a teacher will want you to keep your rib cage expanded, but let the soft tissues go in and out.
Okay. Wow, that'd be tricky.
But I don't think it's necessary, and it can lead to some tension and some bad
I feel like,
results in some cases.
Mhm.
I don't think the value of holding the rib cage open is enough to justify the risk of the bad things that can happen.
Agreed.
But who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind later.
Discomfort.
So let's try a few breaths in and out with all of these elements now. So pelvic floor, abdominal wall, and the lower ribs on this side. So we have 1, 2, 3 sides to think about.
Okay.
So here we go, release to inhale. You feel it pretty clearly? Good. Now the last thing, because really, if your belly button is here, if you're wearing a belt, everywhere the belt is touching should be moving in and out as you breathe. The place you're going to notice the most is going to be the abdominal wall, which is why I kind of start there. I feel the sides the second most, or maybe the pelvic floor, probably kind of a tie between those two. The least noticeable is the back, but we actually should have some expansion in the back. The ribs fill up the lungs fill up these whole rib cages here that we have. So if you put your hands here, kind of at the bottom of your ribs, you should be able to feel a subtle expansion in your back as you inhale. Can you feel that?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm thinking about breathing into my back.
Yeah, and now here, let's grab these chairs because I do really like this back breathing exercise with chairs. You can kind of maybe be in front of my chair so you can hopefully we'll see. Okay, so we will try this a couple different ways, but this is the movement we're going to make. We're going to go down like this. So hopefully our tummies are totally smushed against our thighs, the tops of our thighs. And then we'll come back up again. So pretty simple. So let's try this way. We'll inhale on the way down. And then we'll exhale on the way up. And now let's try the opposite. So we'll start down here. We'll inhale, and this should really allow you to feel the back because the air is kind of going to be smushed back because we're smushing our tummies.
Okay.
And you can even put your hands on your back if you want to. We'll inhale as much air as we can.
Okay.
And then blow our way up.
Wow.
So did you feel your back move when you inhaled? Yeah.
Huge. Wow.
I know.
Crazy.
So weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes, usually it's if I'm in bed or if I've done a really good stretch session, I feel like I'm really in the right place with my body. I can feel my tailbone move out like that when I inhale. I can't always find that feeling, but it's like
Sort of the
this.
goal.
It's like I sometimes imagine like scissors opening, or like the billows you use for
Yes.
making a fire. I imagine opening to let the air in like a billows this
Okay.
direction.
Yeah.
So let's try that again. We'll start down here and all the way down to your lower back. Okay, so then let's put the chairs back and stand up once more because, of course, the floor and the chairs are nice, but we're usually going to be standing up when we sing. So
True.
we've got to be able to find the sensations while we're standing. So focus on abdominal wall, rib cage, back, and the pelvic floor for the release to inhale, and then we'll contract gently to exhale. Here we go. You're able to feel
Yeah.
all the spots?
Yeah.
So now we'll come back to the floor, but instead of using the books under our heads, we're going to go on all fours like this. And yeah, I think we can see each other. So this is an interesting position to assume for breathing exercises because we now have gravity pulling, and we're pushing against the gravity in the direction that the air that we want the muscles to be moving when we're inhaling. So it's a really different sensation. So we'll release the inhale, and the tummy should just drop down towards the floor. And then when we contract to exhale, we'll be pulling against gravity instead of this way, like when we're standing.
Right.
So here we go, release. Don't forget about the pelvic floor when you contract. And now we can add back in the gentle head turn like this.
Okay.
And let's switch to a whispered ah as opposed to the pursed lips exhale. So it's a different sensation in that configuration. I meant to do this other thing first before we did any of that, but we'll do it now. So this exercise is called the snake, and I like to do this as a reference point before we do any other breathing exercises. I just usually pull up the metronome at 60 beats per minute, which is the same thing as the second hand on a clock. And we'll do this little breathing exercise called the snake, which the exhale is like this. So the tiniest stream of air you can let out, but never actually holding your breath. And the inhale is the one we've been practicing. Some people call this a surprise party breath, or some people envision like you're trying to open to smell a beautiful rose. So the inhale with the release we've been talking about, and then we'll just count how many seconds we can sustain the exhale. Okay, or you can. And we're gonna write that down. So here we go. Wow, that was incredible.
Oh, thank you.
That's the first time you've done that, isn't it?
Yeah.
48 seconds?
I don't know.
That's probably like one of the best I've ever seen from somebody for a first time.
Well, thanks. We can improve.
Yeah, so the goal would be 60 seconds.
Okay.
Which, for me at least, I always have to like build up to that.
Okay.
Any day that I want to do it. Even if I did it the day before, like the next day I'm not going to be able to do 60 seconds first try.
Right away. Okay.
If I'm being consistent about doing these every day, I'll be able to go longer.
Yeah.
But not all the way to
work
60 at the beginning. Mm-hmm. The best I've ever seen in college was one guy, he got up to 75 seconds. But if I get up to 60 seconds that day, I can hold any note that I need to hold when I'm singing, like no problem.
Yeah.
So 48 is your starting point. That's like outstanding.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah. No, that's really good. And I definitely noticed that the breathing exercises are more difficult since having a baby. Mm-hmm. They used to be better than after, although during pregnancy was it was really bad. Yeah. So it was embarrassingly bad. So now I'd like to do a few stretches and then a guided visualization, and then we'll see how many more breathing exercises we can do, and then because at the end I want to check your range and the snake again. So man, it would be fine if you didn't improve on the snake though. That's really good. So this is a stretch for the neck. You want to put your hand on your ear, pull up and over, and this hand can dangle and like you can swing it back and forth, or you can like draw figure eights in the air. And if anything, pull more backwards, not like leaning forward like this. And so it's not just like trying to yank your ear to your shoulder, but up as well as over. Okay. And you should feel a pretty intense stretch here. Mm-hmm. And then other side. and then diagonally like this, so you're kind of looking at an angle to one side and looking down, and you feel the stretch in the back of your neck here.
That feels good.
Yeah, these should feel really good. And moving your arm back and forth, you can feel how the stretch changes a little bit. And then switch to the other side diagonally. It's like I'm kind of grabbing the base of my skull and pulling up and over. And then gently both hands and up and over, straight down, looking at the floor. So the back of the neck, and you can gently let the release happen more and more and more. So your chin is tucking more and more and more, and I can feel the stretch kind of go down my spine farther and farther. And then we can do this goldfish stretch for the jaw, putting the finger right in front of the little divot in the ear. If you open your mouth, you can feel a little cave open up. So your finger is going to go in the cave and push this direction. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, right behind the upper teeth, and then another finger on the chin, gently pulling down on the chin. And then we can switch to the other side. And we could easily spend a whole hour on singing stretches alone, so I'm just like kind of trying to hit a few of the bigger important parts. So I find that stretching the legs is really helpful for breathing. So I like to do all the way down like this, and just however far I can comfortably bend the first time, and then all the way up. Since you do yoga, you probably are going to be great at these. And then cross over the leg like this, like one leg over the other. And then just kind of let myself fold over and dangle for a minute here. Trying to let myself go farther and farther down. And you can practice the breathing, of course, here, you know, breathing into the stretch. The exhale can allow you to get a deeper stretch. And I'll go back up again. And then back down with the legs uncrossed. And then back up again. And then crossing the other direction. Oh, careful.
Yeah, you can't tell I do yoga with as bad as my balance is.
And then straight back up again. Ooh. And then this for the arm, cross, brace the elbow, and you can kind of try to turn your hip the opposite direction if anything, so you have a little bit of a twist. And you can switch to the other side. And behind the head with the elbow. Other elbow. And then this is a yes, no, maybe. So forward and back like yes. And then no. And then maybe. Oh, we're getting low on time. So let's just do one more neck stretch because this is a really good one, and then because I do want to squeeze in at least a little guided visualization. So you brace your hand like this, brace your elbow so your arm is straight, and draw little circles while you're pulling your neck. You're pulling your ear up and over so your neck is stretched. And as you're circling, if anything, think of letting your arm go farther back.
Okay.
This one really got me the first time I did it.
Yeah. It's like tingling my hand.
I know.
Wow.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you can like switch and go the opposite direction with your circles.
Okay.
And you can do like bigger circles. The size of the circles really does change
Yeah.
how the stretch feels.
I can't get over how much yoga's involved in singing and voice.
Yeah, there's if you think of like a Venn diagram, there's a lot of overlap with like yoga, Alexander techniques, singing,
Well, that makes sense because all of this has to go into your song.
pelvic floor therapy.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot. It's because singing is using your body as an instrument.
Yes.
So your whole body is a part of
Has
the
to
music
be
making
relaxed.
process.
Absolutely.
For better or for worse.
It makes sense.
Muscle tension in your hips can affect the way your tone sounds, you know? So the
I
better
never would have thought.
a singer can take care of her body, the better she's going to sound in general.
Yeah.
And then just a few shoulder rolls. Like you have a pencil poking out from your shoulder and you're trying to draw circles. And in the other direction. So next, I'll pause the video because we'll do a guided visualization. So we'll get back on the floor and assume the same position that we did before, and we'll think of our breathing in the same way.
Okay.
But we'll just listen to this guided visualization while we are breathing to see if the relaxing helps with the inhale. It does for most people. It helps with the air.
I would imagine.
Okay, so now that we did the guided visualization, let's revisit the snake. And then I want to revisit the range check and the song. Because we've done no vocal exercises to warm up your voice. We're only checking to see if the breathing / stretching has made a difference. So let's try a snake again. And it's okay if you don't go farther. You know, sometimes even if what you're doing is effective, there will be days when it's more effective and less effective for whatever reason.
Sure.
So there's no pressure for any certain accomplishment. So we can release to inhale. you got 49 that time.
Maybe, I don't know.
1 second more, good. And then let's try the range check again. If we come back over here. And I'll just move this so we can see you.
Trying not to be as camera shy, but man, it's hard. I don't know how you do it. Just like, so comfortable.
Well,
You're a
yeah, I don't know.
performer.
You just
You're
have
a
to pretend like it
performer.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
how you look or whatever. It's like, it's fine. And so back to the mom. Remember your inhale before each breath. Open. Did you hear the difference?
Yes, thank you.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It is.
Open your throat to let the air in. Release your pelvic floor to let the air in. Release your abdominal wall. Your rib cage go up. Let the air go into your back. You can even think of breathing into your toes.
I'm sorry, I was about to laugh half that time. That first, like, I don't know why I wasn't doing all the things that we just went over, and then you said it, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. This is
That
the
is a good
application
difference.
part.
Right, okay.
This is the application part where
Yeah,
we
I might
breathe the way
actually
we're
do
just
it.
practicing
Yeah.
it while we're singing.
Silly.
So here we go. Breathe in. Open your throat. Like you're yawning. Now remember when we were on the floor how our chin
Goes down.
we
Okay.
can let our chin nod forward, which lets our head just release on top of our spine upwards rather than back.
Okay.
Sometimes we think up and we do this, which is
Right.
up from the forehead, which is back. We want up from the middle of the head,
Okay.
which is actually up. Open your throat. Yawn the air in. Release. We just do a quick one like that. So your bottom note is the same, which that's not really going to change, but you did get a half step higher on your upper note,
Wow.
which I think with
Exciting.
lessons you'll be getting farther than that, but yeah, that's for not having done any vocal exercises to help with that. That's great. And now come back over to the camera and try Twinkle Twinkle again.
Okay.
And remember, try not to clear your throat.
I'm
but,
sorry. I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't know that yet.
Okay.
There's so many things to know. So between each phrase, when you go to breathe, remember to release, let the air in, open your throat, and then sing on that air that you let in. Okay.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Oh, and I forgot to give you the key. You're singing it here because
That's just
that way we're in the same key. I
forgot that.
We should check it in the same key.
Should I
Try it one more time.
Okay. Okay, here. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. I don't know.
Improvise a little bit. So,
Yeah.
what physical sensations did you notice this time? Compared
I shouldn't have
to the
cleared my
first time?
voice, but because at first I felt like I kind of struggled in the first time.
You shouldn't have what?
Cleared my voice.
Oh,
I felt
that's
like
okay.
that did make a difference, but because it was just, I don't know, habit, I guess. But then the first time earlier when I sang it, I felt less stable than I feel now in my breath and in my tone, just naturally. I don't know. It felt
So you
with
feel
ease.
more stability,
Mhm.
greater ease of what?
I guess it would be wind.
Greater ease
Flow.
of breathing?
Flow, yeah.
What is more stable?
I guess maybe the tightness of my tone or just the feeling, like, I don't know. Something,
So your tone felt more stable?
yeah, something in the tone and just the breathing is, I feel more relaxed and in general it's easier.
More relaxed, greater ease. And what about your tone quality, which is the way your voice sounded?
I felt more at ease with that as well. I mean, I know I definitely need still warmed up, but I just didn't have quite the shaky and thin feeling.
So more full,
Mm-hmm.
less shaky. So I would agree with all of those. My observations are, I don't know what physical sensations you're experiencing, but your tone quality was far more open and smooth and flexible, less brittle than the first time through when you were singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
It's amazing how getting air
Yeah.
causes the tone to help.
Like, I would say it was a
Stay
pretty
on.
significant difference.
Yes.
So it will be interesting for you to listen to the beginning and the end of this
Yeah.
later and notice. And that's just from breathing. So if you pair this, obviously, like
Yeah.
which is the idea, you do stretches, you do breathing, and you do vocal
Warm-ups.
exercises,
Okay.
warm-ups,
Yeah.
your voice changes. Like, it works. So, any questions?
I thank you because, I always wondered how, like, the professionals make it look so effortless. They do a lot of
It's a lot of work on your body.
Yeah, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
So thank
It's
you.
nice that there are things that work.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
2 thumbs up for breathing.
Yay.
Everyone should try it.